What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
None of you seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you.
You're locked in here with me.
Small fringe minority.
All right, what is it? It's Sunday. We're back to our normal times again. It's Sunday night. That means it's the Sunday Night Radio Baloney Live. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. So this is the fourth night in a row we've been streaming. We don't do that very often, very rarely, but we're in election season right now. But we will be taking a night off tomorrow, and then we'll be back at our normal time Tuesday. But tonight is a normal Sunday. It's Sunday night Radio Baloney live stream on Sunday. We're back. It's normal again. All right. So I hope there's not too much Radio Baloney fatigue going on. Doing all of these live streams constantly. Some people do them like they do like 10 hours of live streaming a day. I don't know how they do it. It would drive me insane. But this has been pretty fun though. But yeah, we're going to be getting back, I think, to our normal schedule. Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, and there's no debates or anything, so there's no reason for us to really change unless there's some major news comes up. Then I'll jump on and we'll do an emergency stream. But otherwise, I think we will just be doing our normal amounts. So there we have it. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I've had a good weekend. Lots of streaming. I guess the playoffs are starting too. The hockey's on. I think Winnipeg won their first game, so that's good. Okay. I think it's Toronto or is Montreal playing right now? I don't know. I don't watch it anymore. I got to be honest with you. I stopped watching it years ago. Maybe I'll pick up a game here. That maybe if the kids want to watch a game or something with me, maybe if they want to come over. Anyway, who we got? We got Rosie. We got Spambot. We got Dramus. Good to see you guys. Everybody else will be showing up shortly. We just started. All right, what are you guys saying? Very quickly, let's see what you guys are saying before we get going. Spambot doesn't know if he can stay the whole stream. It's going to be a short one tonight. We don't need to do like 3-4 hours. We'll keep this one pretty short, I think. We don't have too much on the menu. Let's see. Spambot's got Easter memes, and none of them are in the X feed. Uh-oh. Well, there's nothing I can do about it. Let's see, arrange a mailing list to let folks know when you're starting a stream. Rumble's supposed to let you know. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, I don't know. I can't figure all this shit out, man. But, I mean, we're on our normal night, so I think we'll have our normal crowd in tonight. So, let's see. All right, well, you know what? Let's go through the menu quick. What are we going to talk about? Let me just refresh this. So I wanted to show something. We won't go through this right now, but I wanted to show, like when we are complaining about the, like this, it's either the Brampton boomer or the Brantford boomer. I don't know, just liberal boomer giving the finger to every generation after him as he happily extracts every last bit of comfort he can out of the country at the expense of his children, grandchildren, grandchildren's futures and happiness and hopes and potential and dreams. So this is the face of the Liberal Party now. And he is now a meme. This guy's a meme. He's the meme of the election. He'll be right. He's like the woman from 2016. And he's getting a lot of space. But I want to, and we will very quickly just go. We know it's not all boomers. We know it's not all. There are some that have been infected by the woke mind virus, but we'll talk about that because we don't want to disparage all boomers, all retirees. There are many that are not like that guy, and I saw a bunch of them when I was voting. So we're going to go through election stuff, obviously. We'll spend some time. We've got Gordon Campbell, former Premier of British Columbia, who's come out for Pierre. He was a liberal. We got some Pierre Poilievre stuff. Again, it's not going to be a huge long one tonight. We'll go through a lot of this stuff pretty quick. Mark Carney, and I believe that's his wife. I believe she goes by E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I'm not sure. That's just what I heard. I hope somebody wasn't pulling my leg. I hope. This lady, Liz Truss, she was, briefly Prime Minister of the UK. She's been warning us about Mark Carney. Boy, we should probably take heed, shouldn't we? Like, we got a couple of little memes here we've taken a look at. We've got some new poll information coming out. This is an outlier poll, but it's got the Conservatives ahead, although it is traditionally a pretty good poll. So I guess we'll have to see. We've got a bunch of random stuff. There's not actually that much in here. Did you guys realize that Bernie Sanders is a neo-Nazi? Because there he is giving the Nazi salute. I can't believe it. But National Socialists, Bernie's a socialist. They're both left-wing movements, so I guess it does make sense. All right. This one is an old classic. This lady didn't know the difference between musician and magician. It's very funny. Hang around. It's going to be fun. Let me move this back here a little bit. We've got just a couple little things about Canada. And then that's it, people. And it should be a short one. All right, chat. What are you guys saying? Let's see. How you doing, Rosie? Spambot says, happy chocolate overloaded kids Easter. Happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter, everybody. Let's see. Is Rumble stuttering for Spambot again? I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know. There's too many problems. Too many problems in the world. Some kind of wrestling tonight? I do not watch, though. I guess so. I don't know. I don't really watch wrestling. I watch UFC occasionally, and that features wrestling, but not like WWE wrestling. Let's see. Rosie feels honored to be called normal. You are normal, Rosie. I reject this whole cis thing. They just made up. We woke up one morning and we found out that some like insane far left gender studies professors had collaborated with the media and left-wing politicians to decide that we're all this thing called cis now. I heard this note. What the hell? They were all acting like it was perfectly normal. Like I should have known this already. Like this was it's always been this way. They're so Orwellian. No, you've always been cis. No, I haven't, and I'm still not, and none of this makes any sense, and I've absolutely refused to participate in this weird delusional fantasy and this bizarre redefinition of the word and the very concept of gender. I refuse to participate in this stupid fucking communist game. No. Keep it. Keep the cis. Call yourself whatever the hell you want, but you don't get to do that with me. No, I am off limits. You don't get to put your little label on me, your little cis thing that you just all fucking made up. I mean, it's so bizarre. It's such really, literally just woke up one day and all of these far left professors and the media and politicians had all collaborated to just make up this ridiculous, stupid thing and then pretend like it had just always been that way. No, it hadn't. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. I absolutely reject this cis thing, and everybody should as well. The only reason it exists is because there are adults who pretend that it's real, and their whole ideology is real and based on any kind of reality. If everybody just ignores it, says, no, I'm not participating, it will go away. All right. Radio streamer, how you doing? I came, I saw, I hit like. Radio streamer is the best kind of streamer. All right. Travis says, I am not a shitty boomer. Good kind I am. I think that, and when we say that it's like, the only thing about it is that boomers, retired people are more likely to vote liberal than any other demographic. And it's not like and it's not like 100% go out and vote. It's going to be like, I don't know, what will it end up being, like 25% really that go out and vote for Carney? So it's not something I don't want young people to think they should just besmirch an entire demographic of people who also, by the way, did amazing things, right? And build an amazing society. Just things have gone sideways at the very end. And there is a portion of that demographic which is behaving incredibly selfishly. We also have to remember, too, they've been infected with the woke mind virus. The woke mind virus can infect anybody of any age. I think boomers probably in general are more resistant to it than say a teenager. But, they are higher propensity voters, so it does matter. So we do have to be careful. We don't want to besmirch an entire group, which, by the way, has done amazing things. Let's see. Rosie just hit like. Everybody should hit like. It's such a big, important thing to do. Also, like the stream, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Come on, people. All right. Here we go. So should we just get started? 4th night in a row of live streaming. It's crazy. I don't know what happened to us. We got so serious. So from Get Rid of All Liberals, PDG, Apples, I'm a boomer and I voted for Pierre Poilievre today. Did you? Post your own voting story. So let's go through this because, again, we don't want to besmirch an entire demographic, right? Because that generation did do amazing things, right? It's just at the end here, there's a segment of it that's just gotten infected by the mind virus, unfortunately, and they're acting bizarre, and like weird angsty teenagers. It's so strange. I've never seen anything like it. But that's just one part of this demographic. We shouldn't pretend like it's everybody because it's absolutely not. Let's take a look here. Is there anybody else underneath here? So thank you, sir. Thank you for voting for a future for the next generations coming after you. Thank you. We do appreciate it. Trudeau must go as I don't know. ASAP, if not sooner. Let's see. Yes, my wife and I voted PP today. It's all about the kids and grandkids. They say a great society is one where old men plant trees, the shade of which they'll never sit under, or they'll never sit in, right? They do something for the next generation because they're good men. Let's see. Well, there is this poll here. It's been going around a lot. I think it's just an online poll, though. Live poll. It's got Pierre Poilievre with a big lead as who you'd like to see as the next prime minister, but I'm not taking this very seriously. I have to be honest. I think it's just an online Yahoo poll, so I'm not sure that means anything. Let's see. Gen X wife, boomer husband, Gen Z son, 3 votes for Pierre. Let's see. This is a problem. How can I convince my mother to vote CPC? She doesn't listen to reason. If somebody doesn't listen to reason, it's just too late. If it's just TV said, I'm afraid the TV has more power at that point. You do what you can, but you don't take it. You don't take it out on yourself too hard if you fail, because it's programming. It's years and years of programming. Let's see. I'm also a boomer, and I voted for Pierre Poilievre yesterday. Well, every boomer that was in the lineup with me on when was it? Friday morning or Friday afternoon? They were. I could tell they were all voting for Pierre. We didn't tell each other who we were voting for, but you can tell. You can tell who they're voting for. They definitely weren't voting. They weren't this guy. This guy. This has obviously been photoshopped, right? But he is the face now of the Liberal Party. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm going to extract as much as I can so I can be slightly more comfortable. And I don't care what happens to the generations after me. Fuck you, with a big smile on his face. So this guy is also, we know a little bit more about this guy now. Rowan posted this. Mystery solved. Unhinged Liberal Party supporter is Matt Janes. So let's take a look. So there he is. They're very happy to destroy the futures of young Canadians. I'm sure he's very. I mean, that's a face of somebody who just does not give a shit about anybody but themselves. Let's see. A little rainy, but we enjoyed our afternoon canvassing with David Goodwin, federal Liberal candidate for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South. Vote Liberal. And I hope that people don't, and I'm not being facetious here, I hope people don't contact this person online or anything like that. Just leave them alone. Nothing will ever change this person's mind. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's actually done an enormous amount of good for our side, for the side of reason, for the side of people that actually give a damn, for the people that are coming after us. So canvassing with David Goodwin, federal Liberal candidate, so involved with the Liberal Party. So when you know that, this makes it even less surprising that this is the person, right? It makes it even less surprising. Oh, he's involved with the Liberal campaign. They're crazy. They've got lots of lunatics. It just makes it make all the more sense. I mean, this does seem to be the attitude from the Liberal Party, doesn't it? You had the high level staffers for the Carney War Room that were printing up fake merch and taking it to a conservative event. At least one we know of, probably more. Who knows what other dirty tricks they were up to? And were, by the way, just reassigned within the campaign, which tells you that it's not like Carney really was all that against it, the dirty, cheating, lying. Let's see, the guy who refused to can an MP candidate in Ontario, who had told his followers that they could take a competing Conservative MP to the Chinese consulate because there's a bounty on his head and they could get the bounty. Just kidding, except there really is a bounty on his head and you could take him there. Refused to can that guy. Mark Carney. I mean, is anybody getting the picture here? Right? China interfered in the Liberal leadership race itself to smear, which, by the way, it's not very difficult to besmirch the reputation of Chrystia Freeland, right? But she was the candidate. She was the main competition for Mark Carney, and the Chinese Communist Party, through WeChat, intervened to the benefit of Mark Carney. I won't say on his behalf, although who knows at this point. Dirty. These are the kind of people you would expect in such a deeply, deeply corrupt party. Just, does that look like somebody with any ethics or morals to you at all? I don't know the man personally, but just look at that. The other thing about this is, when did seniors start behaving like this in public? I'm telling you right now, this is a Trudeau thing. When Trudeau collaborated with academia and the media to pollute Canada with the woke mind virus. Okay, we didn't see any of this before then. This started when Justin Trudeau collaborated with the media and academia to spread the woke mind virus to as many vulnerable Canadian minds as possible. This is the woke mind virus. We've seen so much of this. We don't just see this with the Canadian campaign. We see this with the Tesla stuff, like the Tesla protests. Have basically been taken over. They become the boomers' crusade. Weirdest thing. They're infected with the mind virus. It turns out seniors are not immune. I think most are, but not all are immune to the woke mind virus. This didn't happen. You didn't have seniors behaving this way before Trudeau. It would have been seen as just unforgivably undignified. Yet it's a new world. Like, let's take a look at these people. Look at this. This didn't happen in Canada. Seniors did not act like this. Let's watch.
Hi, my name's Kate. I can tell you why you shouldn't vote for Pierre Poilievre. He's a liar. He's a thief. Are you casting this? Because I want to tell everybody this.
Yeah,
put that on.
This wasn't normal before Trudeau. This wasn't normal before the mind virus. Right? These are people who they had no defenses, they had no immunity, to the woke mind virus, and their brains have been parasitized, and now they behave like this. This all would have been seen as just unforgivably undignified in the past. Let's keep going.
Go ahead, put that on.
I will.
Yeah.
Don't you worry about it.
That's good because it's the truth.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Because it's the truth. Fuck you. I mean, what happened to Canada? What happened to Canada?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I'm
put that on.
capturing
Go
it.
ahead, put that on.
I will.
Yeah.
Don't you worry about it.
That's good because it's the truth.
Okay.
That's good because it's the truth. What the hell happened to Canada? What happened? Look at this old lady here.
Hi, my name's Kate. I can.
Look at this. That is not normal for Canada. That was never normal for Canada. Trudeau conspired. He collaborated with academia and with the media to infect as many Canadian minds as possible with his own idea pathogen. His own mind, I'm sure, was already parasitized, right? And he was already a woke zombie himself. And his purpose was just simply to propagate the virus to as many other vulnerable minds as possible. The smoother the mind, the better, the easier infected. Because you didn't see seniors, you didn't see retirees ever behaving like this in public before Justin Trudeau. I want to hear this guy one more time.
That's good because it's the truth.
Okay.
That's good because it's the truth. Good Lord. This didn't used to be Canada.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Pardon me? You think that's a nice way, man? I'm just walking by you filming here. You got your wife giving the finger.
Why are you here? Why are you a conservative? Why?
I live
Why are
here.
you here then?
I live here.
Why are you here? Why are you a conservative? What the hell is happening in Canada? There is something wrong. This guy's got a bad case of the mind virus. It's literally turning his brain to mush.
What?
I live here.
Congratulations. Where do you live?
I grew up in Nepean. I live in Ottawa.
Okay, well, you vote for your candidate.
Okay.
Wherever she is. Wherever that guy is.
I'm not with them. I'm filming, and you're giving me the finger and accosting me.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
No, he's entitled to be here. But you know what? We're for Carney.
Oh, obviously, that's no problem. You're entitled to that as well. I was just walking filming here, and him and his wife are giving me the finger and telling me to F off and all kinds of things.
Well,
I mean, if that's the kind... Yeah, I mean, okay.
Anybody the finger?
Well, he was. That's what was happening.
He was.
Yeah, not you. No, I know. You're polite. Most people are, right? Yeah. Probably not something you should be doing in front of kids, though. Yeah, we should be able to talk, right? I know, yeah, we should be able to talk and communicate and you know, we shouldn't be freaking out and giving people the finger and then getting in their face.
Just vote.
No, the guy from the line that just came out at me.
No, just vote. That's our democracy.
Yeah, exactly. I already did vote.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
This is a contentious election. Let's see, what else have we got here? Hold on. See, like this guy, some people have natural immunity to the mind virus, and it just can't work in. It's called common sense, and some people don't have that. Right? The people who don't have that act like the Brantford boomer, or you know, the people out spraying paint at Tesla dealerships for some reason, throwing. I don't know, but the antidote is, or the immunity, we call it common sense. Not everybody has it. All right. Let's see. We had some more. See, this guy, he's become the meme now. He will live on forever. This will live on forever. Here we are at real GDP per capita growth. Real GDP per capita growth in the OECD. 2015 quarter one to 2024 quarter three. Where's Canada? Let's see. We got USA up here. Where's Canada? Right down here, just above Luxembourg. And Luxembourg is like 14 people. So not good. And there he is giving the finger. He's going to live on forever. He has no idea what he's done. Let's take a look at this. I want to see some more of these deranged mind virus liberal supporters. Fair warning, this will make your blood boil. It's from Daisy Media. Handsy and unhinged behavior from Mark Carney supporters in Nepean. Nostrils up. Weird. Let's take a look.
Yeah, take my picture, dude.
Hey, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me, dude. Don't touch me. You can't touch people you don't like. Thank you.
Take up my nostril.
Hey,
Here,
let
me.
get out of my face.
No,
Get out
I'm
of
not
my
in your
face.
face, man.
Yes, you are.
No,
Get out.
no. Let me.
Get out of my.
So what explains this? What explains this? That's a grown man. That's a grown man right there. What explains that? We didn't used to see adults behaving this way. It's the mind virus. It's absolutely the mind virus. It's taken over these people's minds. They no longer have any agency. They don't have any self-control, any free will. They are just servants of the mind virus now. This is not normal. And this is common now. Only amongst them. Only amongst them. This is common. They seem to be incapable of behaving with any dignity whatsoever. They all seem like they're trying to come across. They're all trying to be angsty teenagers, and they think it's cool. Like, why? I'm really honestly surprised they're not wearing berets and Che Guevara t-shirts. I'm shocked by that, actually. I'm sure the next election round they will be.
Get
No,
out
I'm
of
not in
my
your
face.
face, man.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not in your face.
Get out of my face.
Here.
Get out of my
Let
face.
me moon you, man.
Get out of my face, dude.
You're cool, man.
Dude,
How much do you guys
get out
paid?
of my face.
Do you shave?
Get out of my face.
Do you have a job?
Get out of my face.
I'm not in your face.
Yes, you are. You touched me already. Don't
Get a
touch
cop.
me.
Get a cop.
Don't touch me.
Go help yourself. Get a cop.
Don't touch me.
Get a cop.
Don't touch me.
There's a cop
Sir,
right there.
take your medication.
I find it so disturbing. Like, I've never seen adults behaving like this before. This is what they tried to paint the Freedom Convoy as. This is what they tried to paint the Freedom Convoy as. No, it was nothing like this. Nothing like this. These people are behaving deranged. These are adult. I've never seen before adults en masse behaving like this in public, like children. I mean, this is I guess it is the effect of the woke mind virus. It's infantilizing. You know, it seems like so many ideas that they hold are so childish, like these redefinitions of every word of like racism or gender or whatever. They all just seem so childish and inane. And they are. That's because they actually are childish and inane. And you see these adults, even like seniors, retirees, behaving like children. And again, it's new. It's a new thing. I find it really disturbing, actually. Really disturbing. We've never seen any idea pathogens as powerful as this one before. I mean, this guy should be deeply embarrassed of himself. He's not Antifa. I mean, well, what is this guy, real estate agent or something?
No.
Take your medication.
No, go fuck your mother.
Take your medication.
Go fuck your mother.
Sir,
Go
calm
fuck your
down.
mother.
Sir,
Go fuck your mother.
calm down. Get out of my
Little bitch.
space. Get out of my
Little
space.
bitch.
Get out of my space. Jeez, man, go take your meds. Jeez, you guys are crazy. You guys are crazy.
Yeah, take my picture, dude.
Hey, don't touch me.
It's crazy, right? Childish, inane, totally bizarre. We also saw the same thing with the mainstream press at the debates, with just adults, grown adults, behaving like children, like this guy, like the guy from the Hill Times. It's a common thing now that you used to not see in Canadian society. You also see it in the States. You see it across the West now, actually. It's a weird thing. Have you guys taken notice of this as well? Adults, regardless of age, behaving like spoiled children. From Canada Proud, Anna Poilievre, so this is Pierre Poilievre's wife, who seems perfectly lovely, explains to Carney what real leadership looks like. So we've got the crazy mind virus liberals. We've got the Brantford boomer. Let's see how well Anna Poilievre represents the Conservatives.
Leadership is born from the true love for our country, from patriotism. Leadership is not born from fancy degrees, fancy titles. Leadership is not born from the boardroom of the elites. Leadership is born from those who actually put Canada first, like my husband does. And while this journey began 3 years ago, for my husband, It has been a long life commitment. And that is something that the opposition looks down on. But I say, you should not look down on our democracy. My husband has been here at home most of his adult life, fighting for all of us by our side, putting our country first. While others spend the last decade not even living in this country, actually promoting investments and investing his own personal money against Canada's interests. Pierre has been here all along, fighting with us by our side, and they should not look down on that.
She's a firecracker. She's passionate. You can tell she means it. She obviously loves her husband. This is nice. This is nice. There's something actually fundamentally wholesome and decent about this. This isn't like, hey, we have to trans everybody's kids, right? This is, she's passionate. Her husband is passionate. They're a nice family. They love each other. There's something good and decent about this, right? Isn't this so much better than, smug, imperious, dismissive, elitist Mark Carney standing on a debate stage, as if it's all just so tedious for him to even have to be there. I mean, they've already crowned him emperor. Like, why does he even have to bother doing this? They don't have to do this in China. Oh, they don't have to do this in China. Why does he have to do it? Well, he'll get to work as soon as he can to try and turn Canada into China as quickly as possible. Obviously, him and all of his buddies that he meets up with in Davos and with the UN, obviously, they've had nothing but glowing words for China. And I'm just going to go off on a tangent. They've had nothing but glowing words for China. It seems fairly obvious to me that leftist leaders everywhere in the Western world look with envy at China. They look with envy at it, right? You've still got capitalism, kind of like capitalism with Chinese characteristics, as they say. Every company over a certain size has a Communist Party office in it so that they can monitor and control the company as they need to. And nobody has any rights. Everybody just has to do what they're goddamn told. You'd think that, I don't know, people who love democracy so much, like a Trudeau or like a Carney, you'd think they might have a stronger stance on that. Maybe a stronger stance. Maybe when it turns out they've been interfering in the election, interfering in the Liberal leadership race itself, they might have some stronger words instead of just shrugging it off dismissively, smugly, with Carney's trademarked imperiousness. I don't know, this feels better to me. It feels like these are people that actually care. It actually matters to them. I like her. She's great. All right. So, while Mark Carney is against smugly lecturing Canada, which is all he ever really seems to do, and informing us of how he's the one who knows how the world works, all evidence to the contrary. What is Canada really like right now?
This location used to send out 60,000 or so, or feed 60,000 client visits every single month. That number last month was 330,000. The numbers are startling, but that's hard to put in context. The thing that drives me nuts is we will work with individuals who, have full-time employment. They've got an apartment, maybe they have a child, and they still have to come to a food bank despite working and doing everything right. This location used to send out.
But that doesn't matter because we're getting there. That doesn't matter because this guy who canvasses for the Liberal Party doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. So it's okay. Doesn't matter. This is the face of the Liberal Party right here. does not give a shit. And so it's not just the people waiting in line to go to a Carney rally. It's him. It's the people helping the party. They all seem to have the same attitude, and it seems to be an extremely childish and unhealthy one. You wonder how much they really know about the country. Does this guy know about the food bank? If he does, it wouldn't surprise me if he does, actually, to be honest. I mean, you just look at that face and you think, this guy has never done anything good for anybody other than himself in his life and never intends to. What's this here? Brian Lilly, this liberal candidate in Barrie suggested Canada give up on manufacturing and just let China have it all. Maybe India. I'm sure Carney's, I mean, that would be great for our carbon, right? For our emissions in Canada. So I'm sure Carney's all over this. What a great idea.
Now, a local Liberal candidate is being pressed tonight about a recent post he made on social media regarding Canada's manufacturing sector. Barrie South Innisfil Liberal candidate John Oldhouse was responding to a post on X about Canada failing to produce items the world wants. Oldhouse said, quote, "Part of me thinks we should just partner with China and other nations and give up on manufacturing. I remember when manufacturing shifted to Japan. Originally, they made crap, but evolved to be the best. China's turn, then India. Well, today, John Brassard and Doug Shipley, Conservative candidates in Barrie's 2 ridings, they released a joint statement saying, in part, there should never be a time when any person running in public office is willing to give up and sell out our manufacturing sector and hardworking families by suggesting that Canada give up manufacturing to China or to any other country. Well, we did reach out, and Barrie South Innisfil.
Well, it shouldn't be particularly surprising, should it? Again, it'd be great for our carbon, right? Our carbon footprint. And everybody can just move into 600 square foot tiny homes, rent them from the government, and the liberal utopia that Mark Carney is promising everybody. So, are things going to switch? Are things going to change up? I mean, the polling, we can talk about the polling, and we will talk about the polling. But there does seem to be something afoot. We've seen very heavy early voting, which I believe is a very good sign for the Conservatives. Certainly nobody I saw online when I was voting, when I was waiting for an hour and a half to vote, early vote. Certainly I didn't talk to anybody that I had the sense was had the slightest intention of voting for the Liberals. But this is interesting. So here we hear from Gordon Campbell, and here's about to greatly disappoint Rosemary Barton by essentially endorsing Pierre Poilievre. So former Liberal Premier of BC, Gordon Campbell. I don't think she was expecting this, and I think she regretted having him on afterwards.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is speaking this hour in Surrey, BC. We'll bring that press conference to you in its entirety at the top of the hour. Jagmeet Singh, though, also campaigning in the battleground province this weekend. That's in part because BC has 44 seats up for grabs, the third most of any province. But with opinion polls suggesting support for the NDP slipping, it's now a race between the Liberals and Conservatives. And BC's former Liberal Premier is urging Canadians to vote for Canada. Gordon Campbell joins me now. Nice to see you again, Gordon Campbell. Glad you could make some time for us.
It's good to see you too, Rosemary Barton.
Yeah. So you wrote an op-ed, and that's obviously why I got you here, because I thought it was very interesting. You wrote in it that people should forget Trump and vote for Canada, vote for its future, and put aside the issue of Donald Trump, that we need to think about how to pursue Canadian dreams. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Donald Trump through this election campaign. Why are you telling Canadians to think about this election differently?
Because I think when we're only talking about Donald Trump, we're talking about fear. It seems to me that Canada has all the tools we need to build the kind of future that we want. And we should remember how strong we are, that we can be independent. I think, unfortunately, over the last 10 years, we've been weakened. We're not as resilient as we were. We're more dependent on the United States now than we were when the federal Liberal Party was elected. Yeah. And it's time for us to recognize this is an important decision for us. It's an important decision for the next generation of Canadians. And one of the things that I'm concerned about is it feels to me like the next generation has been left behind. They're forgotten. My grandkids have been forgotten. We're watching as deficits are building up. All of our their first paycheck. So I think it's important for us to remember Canada. We have all the resources we need, but we have to liberate them. We have to put them to use. We can't play the uncertainty game. People have to know that Canada's here to get things done, and we can do them. Canadians should remember how strong Canada is as a country. We don't have to be, moved around by Donald Trump's whims. We have to, commit to ourselves and where we can go as a country.
One of the things that you also bring up is pipelines, which obviously has been part of the election campaign, promises on all sides to develop them. You write that building pipelines is pragmatic, not to build them is wrong. Both Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney have said they're ready to build more pipelines.
Okay, but you might want to mention the fact he's not getting rid of, Carney is not getting rid of Bill C-69, which will make sure that actually none get built, because obviously he doesn't want any built, and he's been railing against Canadian pipelines forever now. So obviously he has no intention, and he's just simply lying to gullible, naive people who just want to believe that they've got an alternative to those mean conservatives, because TV said that Pierre's mean. Rosemary said Pierre's mean. Teleprompter said that Pierre's mean. Let's continue.
But I understand people may have different views about who's going to actually get it done. But do you think that pipelines should be a central focus of the ballot box question, at least maybe for Western Canada? Or give me your views on why you think that's such an important issue.
I think it's a really good question, because I think it's for all of Canada, not just for Western Canada.
Right.
It's like going into an international hockey game and saying, we're going to leave Connor McDavid and Mitch Marner and Nate McKinnon on the sidelines because we don't really need all of our tools. We need to use the best of what we've got. We have exceptional energy resources. The Liberals stopped the Northern Gateway pipeline. That was wrong. And it was done after a process. So the uncertainty that has been created, and Mr. Carney continues this uncertainty. He says one thing in British Columbia, another thing in Quebec. We're told there's a national emergency. Then we're told, well, maybe not so much when it comes to pipelines. We need to have those pipelines to build the economic future for this country. Right. We need them to build the kind of opportunities and the foundation for hope for young people, not just pipelines, all of our natural resources, our mineral resources, our energy resources, our agricultural resources.
Yeah. You of course know, though, that the Liberal government was the government that bought a pipeline.
Yeah, but the reason is because the original investors had to walk away because it was made so difficult and it became so embarrassing. The government had to end up spending a bunch of money, a huge amount of money, billions of dollars that they never should have had to spend in the first place. It was just more woke insanity. It was more just leftist dysfunction. But of course, Rosie's not going to mention that. I guess it wasn't on the teleprompter.
Yeah, I know they were the government that bought a pipeline, and I know they're also a government that stopped a pipeline after it had gone through all the process and was ready for approval. Right. So when we're told that, we're worried about our economy, I can tell you one of the things that undermines every economy is uncertainty.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't say one thing in one part of the country and another thing in another part of the country. You have to be clear. If this is a national emergency, we are going to build pipelines. They're going to reach the Asian markets. They're going to reach the European markets. It makes no sense for us to bring, outside energy into Canada when we are so rich in energy resources as we are. So I think that's a really important issue for all of us. Yeah. And I think it's important for all Canadians. Canadians can't even get, Ontario and Quebec can't get their energy right now without it going through the United States. Yeah. That makes no sense to me.
We have been talking through this election a little bit.
So I guarantee she would not have had him on had she known he was going to say that, because that doesn't help sugar daddy Mark Carney with his promise of $150 million on top of the, 1.2 or 1.4 billion that the CBC already gets from the federal government. Sugar daddy Mark Carney has promised an extra $150 million. That's a raise right there. Pierre has promised to stop funding them. So I think you can see where this goes. Kind of feels like a bribe to me, doesn't it? Doesn't it seem like a bribe to you? Does it seem like that should even be legal to offer state media more money, essentially a bribe, during an election? How is that even legal? I mean, that's the most obvious, transparent election interference you can have. Hey, if I win, you'll get a raise. You'll get an extra $150 million. If I win, but only if I win. If I don't win, How is this even possible? Like, how is this not a major topic of conversation? Well, it's not going to be on CBC, obviously, because they want that dough. They want that dough, Ray me. All right. Well, let's see. What do we got? Let's get to the chat. Let's see. Bernadine Madden over on YouTube. So sad to see our fellow Canadians act like this. It reminds me of the stuff that some people in the USA Trump supporters would do. A 2-year-old doesn't even act like this. Makes me cry. You know, I understand why you would make the reference to Trump supporters because that is the narrative. But I don't think it's entirely accurate. There may be, there's always individual cases, isolated cases. If we're talking about 2024 or right now in the United States, give me 1 second here. Hold on a second. I want to bring up a bookmark for you. If we want to talk about actual popular movements, though, like actual mass actions, right? Talking like the 2016 Summer of Love, for instance, right? With $2 billion in damage and, arson, all of that. That's Trump supporters don't really do that. You had the riot on January 6th. That's there, that it will always exist. But here's somebody who was going to be going to prison for throwing Molotov cocktails at a Tesla facility in Kansas City. This is like a mass protest. This is not Trump supporters, right? Here's just an old lady who's been convinced to write Nazi in front of somebody's house because they have a Tesla. That's very strange, right? Here's a guy who just kicks a Tesla in a parking lot because he's deranged, right? Here you have people. I believe this is in Canada. This is in Canada, just going and spraying a Tesla dealership. These are not Trump supporters. These are not conservatives. Look at this. Here's a mother with her children keying this Tesla. And the kid gives the camera a finger as she walks by. I mean, this is deranged. These are not Trump supporters. That's happening all over the place. That's not just the odd person here and there. Right? Look at these protests. Look at these massive protests here. It's ridiculous. Here he's asking her, she's got a sign, dump your stocks, sell your Tesla. He's asking her, well, what should the person who buys the Tesla do? No answer. You have the same behavior that we saw on those Carney lines. You have that en masse. And these are not Trump people. They're not conservative people. These are people acting totally deranged. And in these Tesla things, you notice it's like the boomers crusade. It's so weird. They're all totally deranged. And these people are not Trump supporters, right? Yes, you can find a person here, a person there, whatever. But these kind of mass movements, these are all leftists. And whether it's in those mobs on the streets in Canada protesting with their flags and with their cafes, those aren't conservatives. These mass movements are all left-wing movements. So I think it's a false comparison there, I have to say. Although I understand why somebody would think that, because that is the narrative. All right. Anyway, my apologies, but I couldn't let that slide. Let's get to let's see. And I just lost half my audience on YouTube because of that, because I didn't attack Trump supporters. I guess. I don't know. I just looked. I started, and then I looked, and half of them were gone. So, hey, but I'm not here to lie to anybody or pretend to believe things that I don't believe. Let's see. Radio streamer didn't get to eat a single piece of chocolate today. Good Lord. Well, here's some chocolate for you. Let's see. There's something sweet for you. Now, I haven't golfed in a long time, but I do appreciate a great swing. Rosie says, boomers named Karen do not seem resistant to the woke mind virus. They do not. They're the least resistant to it, sadly. Rosie says, Richie, please explain rioting. So I have a lot of viewers from the States. I would say that my American, or from wherever they are, around the world viewers know more about Canadian politics than 99% of Canadians. I have to be honest. Let's see. Explain ridings. It's like a congressional district, basically. It's kind of like a congressman. Your MP would be kind of like a congressman, kind of. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty close analogy, actually. Jama says electoral districts. Yeah. All right. Rosie says, so if not everyone can vote for Poilievre, why will he become? Because he's the leader. So we don't have primaries like they do in the States. So the party chooses its leader, and then the public votes for their local MP, and then whichever party has the most MPs becomes whoever's the leader of the party with the most seats becomes the prime minister. So you're technically voting for your local MP, but really, functionally, you're voting for the leader of the party because he's the one who sets the agenda and the policy. Spambot, haha, don't touch me and take your medication. I've never seen adults acting like this in Canada before. It's just truly bizarre. All right. Let's get to a few more of these in the chat, and then we'll move on. And we'll keep going. What are we? An hour in? I said we weren't going to go too long tonight, but looks like we'll do at least a couple of hours. Judith Taylor says they are nutty liberals. Let's see. No worries, Bernadine. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, let's keep going. So what else have we got in here? Okay, I wanted to show you just another one of the little dirty tricks that's happening. This is from the 16th, 4 days ago. But this is from Mario Zelaya. And you can follow him. He's good. And he's going to show you something right here. Just another one of the little dirty tricks. We've all seen like the lunatics taking destroying the signs and then putting like liberal signs all around conservative signs, all kinds of weird little things. This is a little bit different, but it's just kind of funny. I guess they ran out of money. But let's take a look.
So I had heard a little rumor, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to record myself checking this out so I don't get arrested, but I'm going to flip the camera around. Check this out. I had heard that Karina actually had Trudeau behind here, and there it is, Team Trudeau. She covered up with tape. So there's the Canadian flag covering Trudeau's name. Confirmed. So I had heard a little rumor, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to record myself.
That's kind of amusing. They don't. They don't want any connection to Trudeau. I saw a video where he was out in some riding, secretly, campaigning for one of the MPs there or a candidate there, and there's not on the media. You'd think actually that would be a story, but he was the prime minister. You think it was out there, was on social media. I didn't see any reporting of it in the media, and certainly not on the CBC. They're so desperate to keep him away to try and trick people into thinking that it's not Justin Trudeau's party anymore. See, the thing is, though, here's the thing. Listen to this. I don't think it ever was Justin Trudeau's party. I think it was Mark Carney's party all along. I think they've been thick as thieves the entire time. I mean, Mark Carney is the godfather to Chrystia Freeland's daughter, for God's sakes. Right? Officially, I mean, there was newspaper articles in 2020 lauding the fact that Mark Carney was coming on as an advisor to Trudeau to save the day. Media seems to have forgotten about that pretty quickly. But I think it was Carney's economy the entire time. And Trudeau obviously can't be bothered to think about these things. He told us, he asked us, Trudeau said, we all remember this. He said, you will have to forgive him if he doesn't think about monetary policy. Well, I never forgave him. And I hope you didn't either. I think it was Carney's economy the whole time. And on that note, hold on a second. On that note, where is it? Okay, hold on a second. Because we've had some new news that you'll be very interested in. Hold on. Where did I put it? Hold on. Okay, it might not be in here. I really need to be more organized. I really do. Okay. Maybe it's in here. Okay. All right. You know what I have to do is a quick search because now I can't find where the hell I put this thing. It'll be 1 second. All right. Give me 1 second. All right. Everybody just stay where you are. Let's see. Don't go anywhere. Be there in 1 second. 1 second. Here we go. This is what we wanted. All right. From Pierre Poilievre. Breaking. Mark Carney's platform was written by Justin Trudeau and his team weeks before Carney became Liberal leader. The only tweaks Carney made were to increase inflationary spending even higher. Let's take a look.
Platform, frankly, that's something, the Liberal platform, frankly, that's something I will say that has been ready for several weeks now. Mona Fortier was the one who was working on this, and it was ready before Mark Carney even became Liberal leader. So, he only had to tweak a couple of things. The Liberal platform, frankly, that's something.
So it makes perfect sense. But to me, what I see here is that it was written, Trudeau's platform was written by Carney in the first place. I mean, he was the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. We know that. If you've read any of Mark Carney's book Values and just listen to anything he said over the past decade, and he said a lot in public, you can see, looking back with hindsight, you can see that Carney's fingerprints have been all over the Canadian economy now for years, since at least 2020, probably much sooner. It's been Carney all along. That's why I have on some of my thumbnails, it's Mark Carney holding the Trudeau mask. It was really Trudeau it was really Carney with a Trudeau mask on the entire time. So why would he change it? It was already his, right? I mean, that's really bad, right? His record is really, really terrible. His record in England is really, really terrible. In fact, hold on 1 second. Where is she? Here she is, Liz Truss, former Prime Minister of the UK. Let's hear what she has to say about Mark Carney and his brilliant, brilliant economic ideas.
And what I am saying is, unless we get a grip and change the way our countries work, the West will be finished in 10 years. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we have been threatened by left-wing ideology, whether it's excessive government spending, whether it's net zero ideology, whether it's things like
Net zero, Carney.
DEI and ESG.
DEI and ESG. Well, Mark Carney he's the one who started the ESG fund at Brookfield, weirdly. He's the man who said that while they're having a war on woke in the States, we're not doing that in Canada. We're going to preserve woke. Huh. Mark Carney, he sounds like a crazy person.
ESG, whether it's Islamism, all of these things have conspired to hollow out our countries, to stagnate our growth, but also to present real threats to the way of life in the West. And I am a Trump supporter. I think that Trump getting elected last year was the first domino to be falling in the right direction in terms of saving the West, because otherwise I think that we will see China and radical Islam, two terrible partners, win against the West. That is the threat we face.
And you know what? I want to show you one other thing too, because she said a few other things as well. So let's hold on 1 second. This will only take me 1 second. Liz Truss. Carney, and then something should come up pretty quick, I think. Here we go. She makes it pretty clear here, and she is talking specifically about Carney here.
Just wanting to get your thoughts on Mark Carney and your relationship with him while you were Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and any advice you have to Canadians who think he might make a good Prime Minister.
Well, Mark Carney was Governor of the Bank of England, and under his tenure, too much money was printed, which did damage to the British economy and put our economy off track. He, at the last election, endorsed Rachel Reeves' economic policy. She's now become Chancellor. It's been a disaster for Britain. The country is heading for bankruptcy. So I would strongly recommend not backing Mark Carney or his policies on net zero, which have been disastrous for Britain and would be disastrous for Canada.
Do you trust his judgment overall, outside of ideological considerations?
Well, I believe that he made major mistakes in the management of the Bank of England. He has pushed net zero, which has been a disaster, not just for the UK, but for many countries across the world.
Thanks for your time, Prime Minister. I appreciate it.
Let's see, printing money, and let's see, bankrupt. Well, there's no way he'd do that in Canada, right? There's no way he would do that in Canada. Now, he's learned his lesson, I'm sure, right? Let's see. Bloomberg just said if Carney is reelected, Canada's fiscal position will worsen and our debt to GDP unlikely to improve. Vote properly, Canada. So, and Mark Carney has deep ties to Bloomberg, and they're even saying this. Overall, the platform shows Canada's fiscal position worsening. Who could have guessed? If the Liberals are reelected on April 28th and the party is currently leading in most polls, well, we'll see about that. Canada is unlikely to improve its debt to GDP ratio over the forecast horizon, which was previously a key fiscal guidepost offered by the Liberals under Trudeau. They didn't even mention that we're in a population trap right now, and Mark Carney is going to just make that all the worse. So I guess maybe it is something we need to worry about. Maybe this guy should be thinking about that a little bit. I mean, the money might run out. I mean, the hyperinflation might come before you die. So maybe you should, maybe a little bit of an attitude adjustment is in order there, Liberal voter. The Carney Liberals, this is from Table Salt, the Carney Liberals pledged to increase foreign aid as part of the $225 billion new debt spending. So it does seem like Carney is looking to print money and bankrupt Canada. I guess the foreign aid thing, that should just be a no-brainer, but he has publicly committed to borrowing money and throwing it away on foreign countries. He's committed to that. Really important. I even talked to a friend of mine who's going to vote for Carney and just brought it up and said, well, and the thing was, well, we have to have empathy. Here's the problem. People think that it's going to building wells in Africa. No, it's not. Why don't I show you what it's going to? One moment, please. I really should have got this stuff racked up before we started, but this will only take a second. It will only take a second. I've got a special bookmark just for this. And you know what it's called? Where is it? Where is it? One second. Liberal spending. That's what it's called. Let's take a look, shall we? Let's see. So he's going to put future generations in increasing debt. Also, too, we should mention right now, before we get started, that did you guys know, the regular viewers will know this because I've said it many times. Do you know that Canada now spends more money servicing just the interest on the national debt than is paid out in transfer payments to the provinces for healthcare right now? Mark Carney is looking to add to that massively, to increase those interest, to increase the cost of just the interest on the debt. So let's see. Is it worth it to send $100 million to Palestinians in Gaza? Yes. So he's going to send. He's very passionate about sending $100 million to Hamas. Sorry, UNRWA. Sorry, I guess I misspoke. Let's see. This is a beauty. John Fraser notes that this is batshit crazy. What do you think? Let me know in the chat. Do you guys think this is batshit crazy? Canada is giving $3.8 million to help the Lebanese armed forces update their mountain warfare ski school to allow for multi-gender occupancy. Well, it says here it's a maintenance building, I guess. Did anybody say, just mention that perhaps Lebanon could live without the $3.8 million maintenance building? Now, my first thought was, mountain warfare ski school in Lebanon? Yeah, they got mountains. It actually is a thing. But did anybody consider that perhaps they could just live without the maintenance building? Maybe they could do it themselves. Maybe they could figure out a way. How many Lebanese would be, desperately sad and disappointed if they didn't get their maintenance building for $3.8 million? $3.8 million for a maintenance building in Lebanon? That just feels like $3.8 million just going to somebody who tricked Canada into giving them money. Which I'm sure all of this is. Again, it's not building wells for clean water in Africa. Government of Canada announced several key measures to help the Syrian people build a stable country that respects all of its citizens. $84 million in humanitarian aid to Syria. Syria is run by literal terrorists. It's a literal jihadist state right now. They are massacring Alawites, Christians, other religious minorities. I say we don't send any money over there because it's going to be $84 million in terrorism aid. I feel very bad for the people that are suffering under the horrible government, but we all know all of that money is going to go straight to the jihadis. That's since he's been leader. That's since he's been leader of the party, Carney. Let's see. Trudeau spent $11 billion on overseas gender programs. You think that's going to end? Mark Carney has already let us know he's a champion of insane, crazy redefinitions of the word gender into some infinite series of abstractions totally divorced from reality. He's let us know he's all for that. It's very important to him. Here we go. March 10th. This is not like years ago. This is March 10th. The government of Canada announces $272 million to Bangladesh to fill in, guess what? USAID gap. Of course. Intersectional democratic spaces in Bangladesh, gender responsive and inclusive in education. Community resilience through locally led inclusive adaptation. What? It just sounds like they're trying to brainwash Bangladeshis into their woke religion. Isn't this colonialism, by the way? Aren't we supposed to be against this? Isn't their culture supposed to be sacred? Isn't this just more of that colonialism we're all supposed to be worried about 24 hours a day? I say leave them alone. I say that intersectional democratic spaces in Bangladesh is none of our goddamn business, right? It's none of Canada's business. If they want to do that, go ahead. I don't care. I'm not going to stop them. I don't want to spend $1 to stop them. I don't want to spend $1 to help them. Just don't care. It's none of Canada's business. And of course we know it's all just going to be stolen anyway, right? It's ridiculous. Again, this isn't going to building wells for poor people there. It's going to brainwash Bangladeshis for some reason into a weird, woke, infinite series of abstractions. I just don't think we should do it. I'm just against it. Why? Why do we want to do that? So this is all the stuff that he wants to keep spending money on. What's this? Cat Canada, $25 million for designing spaces in concert with women, trans, and non-binary, HRDs, W, blah, 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 alphabets in Nairobi, Kenya. I kind of feel like these countries have all kind of made up their minds on the woke stuff. They're not for it. It's like Afghanistan, the Taliban, right? They've kind of made up their mind on like feminism, for instance. They've made up their mind on this. They're just not really interested in what we have to say. They're like, no thanks, we've made up our minds. We don't like it. How did I get on that rant? Where was I going? We were talking about Liz Truss. Yeah, so we were talking about printing money, bankrupting the country. Printing money and bankrupting the country, and it appears that Mark Carney has not learned anything, and he just wants to keep doing that, and smooth-brained people want to help him. All right, let's get to the chat. James Metcher, Boomer here, voted for Pierre on Friday in Ottawa Centre. Thank you, sir. And there are so many. I mean, when I went to vote, I was standing in line. We didn't all tell each other. We didn't say I'm voting for Pierre, but it was pretty obvious who everybody was voting for. I was talking to, 10 boomers in line, and they were all voting the same way. So I don't want that age demographic in Canada to just be totally smeared. It's not all boomers. There are many, there's millions that are doing the right thing, right? It's just that Carney has an advantage, and a kind of a crucial advantage in that demographic. And those people that are voting for him, I think it's very fair to call them incredibly selfish or parasitized or whatever. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't line up with this whole idea of, in a great society, old men plant trees, the shade of which they'll never enjoy, right? It doesn't go along with that. It just seems really selfish, but it's not all. And that whole demographic, which by the way, has done incredible things, they don't deserve to all be smeared. So anyway, James, thank you, sir. Let's see. Brian Beatty says 2 genders and straight people are in crisis. Sorry, I don't understand that one. Let's see. Spambot says he had a ribeye steak and green beans for dinner tonight. Rare and yummy. Are you guys talking about other things while I'm ranting like a lunatic? That's fine. Go ahead. I get it. I do the same thing. Talking about dinner. Bernadine says, voting for Pierre tomorrow, Easter Monday. Thank you. You're doing the right thing. You are doing the right thing. Let's go back a bit more in the chat. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, I'm just sitting here with a neighbor with a fire about to cook. Nice. Perfect. James makes a great point. He says, jug meat stinks. It's a simple but true statement. Beautiful statement. A lot of people are saying that jug meat really bombed during the English debate. And for sane people, he did. Like every sane person watched Jugmeat just interrupting over and over and over again and said, geez, he's like a child. Why isn't he wearing a beret and a Che Guevara t-shirt? And he just seems like an angsty teenager. Sane people thought that. But he's NDP. So I think there's a solid, I mean, the worst they've done over the last 20 years is 15%. I think there's a solid 12, 13, 14, maybe 15% of the country that wants to be ruled by a child, that if Greta Thunberg took over the NDP, they would vote just because it's Greta Thunberg. Right? I think there's that,
small fringe minority.
Not even that small, though. I think it's like 12%, 13% that would vote for Greta. They would love to vote for Greta. They would vote for a tree with a face painted on it. Right, that just had a slogan against, like anti-fascist or something on a sign, like nailed to it or something. Like there's like that part of the population does exist. So I think that even though for sane people, Jugmeat was awful and terrible, I think it will have appealed to that NDP base. I think he might have helped himself. I think that he's going to end up with 11, 12, maybe 13% of the vote at the end of the day. We'll have to see. Let's take a look at this here. So from JJ McCullough, we are indeed in a wild new political reality when old white men have become a demographic that conservatives have to explicitly target in order to balance out their party's reliance on the youth vote. Well, it's so strange the way politics has changed. I mean, as the left has moved away, has abandoned the working class, that's been absorbed into the conservative movements now. This is common across the Western world, certainly in the United States, in the UK. Labour, lost the working class in the UK. They won the last election, not because of popularity, but because simply conservatives just gave up because they were sick of being abandoned and betrayed by their own party, working class included. But let's take a look. It is a bit strange, but yeah, this has happened. The leftist parties have abandoned the working class. We're seeing the evidence of that now.
How's your son, David?
Well, it's been a tough few years for him. He just can't seem to get ahead.
Yeah, we had to pay for Sarah's down payment last year. Things are tough for her, too.
You know what Mark Carney says.
Come on, do you really think that a fourth Liberal term is going to change anything?
I've been thinking the same thing.
Are we really going to give these clowns a fourth term? I'm voting Conservative. There you go.
Yeah, for a change.
So it's not like Carney's got the, that 65 plus vote by like 20 points. I think it's like 5 points or something at this. Now, if these polls are indeed correct, if there's not some weird weighting happening in the polling, but it is strange, right? It is strange. The working class, the young people are flocking towards the conservatives. The liberals now have an advantage with seniors, although it shouldn't be overstated just how big that is. But it's there, and it is an advantage, and it's a crucial one. So it is strange that this demographic has to be courted by the conservatives now. It's strange. My explanation is that there's no age demographic that is immune from the woke mind virus. And why we see these seniors behaving so childishly and chasing people around parking lots and their silly signs and stuff is because they were not immune. They were part of, the demographic that was not immune to the woke mind virus. And they were affected just as much as an angsty teenager is. And as a result, you see seniors behaving in undignified ways that you've just never witnessed in Canada before. When Justin Trudeau took over and he immediately started collaborating with academia and with the media to spread and to propagate his own woke mind virus, it spread across the country like wildfire. All of a sudden, we had terms like cis. You just woke up one morning and all of a sudden you're this thing called cis. What? Why? Why? What? I didn't agree to any of this. All of a sudden you have words like insidious words like racialized, which just seem to come out of nowhere, yet they were just universally accepted amongst like academia, the media, left-wing politicians. What does racialized mean? That means that no matter what, if you're not white and you're in Canada, you're racialized. There's no way out of it. You've just been racialized. If you're moving to Canada, if you're immigrating here, the second you step off the plane, boom, racialized. That is the way that the word is used. It's this insidious word, right? So no matter what you think, no matter if you come to Canada and you don't experience any racialization, any racism, let's say, right? And you just like everybody and it seems like a nice society to you, doesn't matter. You've been racialized. You just don't realize how much you're being racialized constantly. It's actually your fault. There's something wrong with you. Just accept it. You've been racialized. This is a weird brainwashing technique from the modern left. All this stuff came in after Trudeau was elected, and nobody's immune. There's no demographic that's completely immune to it. Of course, there are people that are immune to it. I'm immune to it. You're immune to it. And a great many 65 plus are immune to it, but not all. Not all. All right, let's go back to the chat for a second because we got lots of it. All right. And Spambot had some lovely lamb chops for lunch today. Well, I'm very happy about that. Let's see what else. You guys are just talking about dinner. Everybody's talking about Didn't you hear me ranting like a lunatic? Nevada says, "May the right man win. May the right man win." No pun intended, but yes. James Beecher says, "Yeah, Jeggy was annoying. If you're saying he was annoying. If you're not sane, and if you're a NDP loyalist, you would have loved it. You would have said, he's almost as good as Greta Thunberg." Bromsley says, "First time here. This guy is awesome. Tells it how it is." Well, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that compliment. Amazingly, YouTube is actually apparently letting people know that my stream is live here. Normally, when you're here, just for everybody watching, everybody on YouTube, when you see the chat on the screen, that's all from Rumble. So I always have a very lively chat, a much larger group on Rumble. And the chat that you see on the screen, that's from Rumble, and there's usually very little from YouTube. We're getting more from YouTube because we're actually getting a decent crowd, because apparently people actually know my stream is live on YouTube for some reason. It happens very rarely. Because, I don't know, censorship and stuff, I guess. James says, "Yeah, I subbed immediately. My first time here, too." Awesome. You know what it is? It's the antibiotics that I started taking a week ago. Before that, I was awful. Let's see. Bernadine Madden says, "I remember years ago someone stated that Canada would have only two classes, and they were the rich and the poor. The middle class will not exist anymore." And to me, it feels like an absolute plan, does it not? You're right, by the way. And it feels like a plan. When you see Carney's housing plan, his tiny houses, his 600 square foot tiny houses, these little shipping containers that people are expected to live in, right? This is not the promise that young people had 10 years ago. If you're 25 now and you've got you want to start a family, you're a young couple, you want to start a family, Canada was a very different country 10 years ago than it is now. Was it easy back then? No, it was still hard. You still may have needed some help from your parents, from wherever, right? But it was doable. It was doable for so many more young people. Well, housing prices have doubled since then. Now, Canada is a totally different country. If you're some 25-year-old young couple looking to start your life, start a family, you want a small house, you don't need a mansion, you just need a small place, not 600 square feet, mind you, bigger than that, but a place with a yard, where you can have your kid and the dog can run around in the back, and you've got your own place, your own, separate place. You're not in a condo. You're not in an apartment. Now it's a totally different country. That dream is gone for so many young Canadians. It's a different country now. And that's what we're heading towards, right? And again, when you see Carney's housing plan, these tiny homes, these tiny prefab homes, he's going to be building high-density Soviet-style apartment blocks, right? Which I personally believe all of this new housing, by the way, is going to be for the millions more people that Carney wants to bring to Canada. They're going to get it anyway. The young Canadians aren't even going to have a chance at these places they didn't want in the first place, because obviously Carney has brought on Mark Wiseman, founder of the Century Initiative. It's a real thing. You can go to their webpage. It's very swanky, expensive webpage, as all of the globalist web pages are. God damn it! I need another sip of rant juice. It's a real thing. They really do want to bring 100 million people, or turn Canada's population to 100 million people. And the young Canadians, they're not dreaming of moving into a 600 square foot tiny prefab home or some high density government slum, neither of which they'll be able to own, by the way. They'll be rented. That's not what they're dreaming of. You can see with Carney's plans, it looks like hold on one second. Sorry about that. Had a barking problem. Okay. Where was I going? Yes. So Carney's housing plan looks like the kind of thing that would be cooked up by a globalist who would like to get rid of the middle class. And let's move on. Let's see. So Nevada says the conservative ad is a good one. Bromsley says it's interesting. Mark Carney never uttered net zero until after the Bilderberg meeting in 2011. Then his tune changed completely. Watching the before and after interviews was telling. So that's an interesting point as well. All right. So let's see. Was there anything else in here I wanted to get to? Hold on. Was there anything I missed in here? Give me a second, folks. I showed you guys that before. Okay. Showed you guys this stuff. All right, let's move on. So, okay, let's hear from Pierre Poilievre now. So, we've gone an hour and a half, actually, without hearing from Pierre. So, from Mark Nixon posted this. Pierre Poilievre warned us, Mark Carney is Justin Trudeau 2.0. But now we know he's far worse. Well, I'm going to tell you what I think again, which is that it was Carney all along. It was Carney with a Justin Trudeau mask on. Justin Trudeau knows nothing about the world. He barely has two brain cells to rub together. All right. We know that it was, in fact, it was a move that was lauded in the papers in 2020 across Canada, that Mark Carney was coming on as Justin Trudeau's advisor. I think personally he'd been advising him all along. These people were thick as thieves all along. I think that the reason why, as it turns out now, that Mark Carney's policies, his platform, his economic platform, is Justin Trudeau's economic platform. It's not been changed. There's maybe been a couple of tweaks to it. Is that it was never Justin Trudeau's platform in the first place. It was always Mark Carney's. Mark Carney has been the man behind the curtain the entire time. He didn't need to change the platform from Trudeau's because it was never Trudeau's. It was always his in the first place. So you can say he's Justin Trudeau 2.0. You can say that Justin Trudeau was just him. Justin Trudeau was his beard. Either way, it's all the same shit. Let's take a look.
And, you know, I've been saying that Mr. Carney is the same as Justin Trudeau. Yesterday, we learned that Mark Carney is far more costly than Justin Trudeau. Mr. Carney released a platform with 120, sorry, I understated it. Mr. Carney released a platform with $130 billion more spending than Justin Trudeau had already planned to introduce. So think this through. Justin Trudeau had planned massive deficits over the next 4 years. Mark Carney has introduced even bigger ones. Combining Trudeau's planned deficits with Carney's new promises, a fourth Liberal government would bring in $250 billion of additional debt. That's inflationary debt that will drive up the cost of food, housing, and everything else you buy. We cannot afford a fourth Liberal term. We need a change in Canada. Change so that you can afford food, homes, and you can live on a safe street.
Well, I'm sold. Good thing that I already voted Conservative. Everybody has to get out and vote. This is an election that is going to already, you must understand, generational damage has already been done to the country during the Trudeau years, right? It's a different country now than it was 10 years ago. There's no question. For young people, it's a very different country than it was 10 years ago. Their dreams have just disappeared, right? Gone off into the equity ozone. You know, empathy. That their futures have been spent on equity so that people can feel virtuous online. So, considering that we already have generational damage in this country, generational damage, all right? Another 4 years or 10, whatever. I mean, my feeling is that if Carney gets in, he's going to just completely change the laws in this country. He's going to change the election laws. He's going to try and hammer this down. These people are authoritarians. They don't really like democracy. They like their democracy. And by their democracy, it means when they're running things. Just economically, I mean, we could easily find ourselves no longer. I mean, I think there's already some question as to whether or not we're a first world country. Are we even still really a first world country? When young people have no chance of just getting themselves like a nice little house somewhere, even if they have to drive 3 hours to work every day, and even that's out of reach, are you even still in the first world at that point? But history happens slow, and then very fast, and we're finding that out. And we can't afford to make the mistake again, because it could just simply be too late. All right. All right, let's hear this one. So here is, I think this is more or less the same thing. This is from Mark Nixon, but this is a different venue. Let's hear this.
Was about Mr. Carney's $130 billion in new spending promises. To be clear, these promises are above and beyond all of the spending Justin Trudeau had already budgeted for. If you add Justin Trudeau's promised deficits with the new spending from Mark Carney, a fourth Liberal term will add $250 billion of new inflationary debt that will drive up food costs, housing costs, and taxes. You cannot afford a fourth Liberal term. We need a change. On Conservatives, we'll bring that change in our platform. We will cut bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, handouts to corporate insiders and lobbyists to bring down deficits, taxes, and inflation. We will also grow revenue by about $70 billion by unlocking resource projects all across the country, as validated by economists, independent economists. The result is our Conservative plan for a change will mean you can afford a home, food, and a great life on a safe street. And that is the choice in this election. A fourth Liberal term of rising costs and crime, or a change with a new Conservative government that will cut your taxes, deliver affordable homes and food on safe streets.
Yeah, it really does come down to me. We already have generational damage that, frankly, it won't be solved in 4 years. But you have to start now. If we go any further with this lunacy, and in fact, even ratchet it up as globalist, as self-admitted, self-proclaimed elitist globalist, Mark Carney is telling us outright that he's going to do. I mean, that could just be the end of Canada as a first world country. History is full. It's full of stories of people waking up, of history going slow, and then very fast, and people waking up, and the world is just a different place, and there's not a goddamn thing they can do about it. Unfortunately, a lot of Canadians, fell asleep over the last 10 years, and many are still sleeping. And they're sleepwalking like zombies towards poverty. I mean, when you even got Bloomberg, that Carney has been deeply tied to over the years, saying that his plan is not a good plan and is going to hurt Canada, that should be of concern, right? Shouldn't that be of concern? All right, I want to show you this. Remember how much especially the CBC, absolutely freaked out that independent media was allowed at the French debate and then the English debate, and they ended up canceling the media scrums afterwards because it was just not fair. CBC Rosie and what's his name, David Cochrane, were they were just so put out. They were so put out. It was so embarrassing and humiliating for them to have to share the stage with just peasants. Remember how they said those questions? They were MAGA questions. Remember Remember when Alex Zoltan asked Mark Carney about the gender question, about women's spaces, and how that was mega, that was identity. How dare they bring identity politics in this? As if the CBC isn't 99% goddamn identity politics in everything that it does. But here's something interesting. It shows you just how dishonest these people are. Here's Pierre Poilievre being asked about gender stuff.
What's your response to trans women's fears that they'll be harmed if they're not allowed to use bathrooms appropriate for their gender?
My common sense view is that women's spaces should be preserved for women. Thank you.
That's the correct answer. Do you remember any mass hysteria in the media when this question was asked of Poilievre? Did Rosemary Bart or David Cochran, whatever his name is on the CBC, did they talk about, oh, that reporter was bringing American-style mega questions or something to Canada? Dark, shadowy, right-wing forces. No, they didn't seem to care at all because it's all bullshit. Because they're just liars and they're just trying to preserve their place. They desperately want their new sugar daddy, Mark Carney, because he's offered to give them $150 million more on top of the enormous amount of money CBC already gets. It is so grotesque. It is so in our faces. It's so obvious. The only people who can't see it are the people who see nothing else. And those people are all voting for Carney, unfortunately. Seems like a counterproductive use of money. All right. So let's move on. What are we here? An hour and 40 minutes in. What are we going on here? There was Liz Truss. Here's Mark Carney talking about being asked how it all adds, how his math actually works. Don't forget, this guy's a brilliant economist. Brilliant economist. They keep telling us. He keeps telling us that. And that he knows how the world works. Let's see.
In your platform, your CASA platform you released today, you outline almost $130 billion in new spending, but a shrinking deficit over the next 4 years. How and why should Canadians believe your numbers add up?
Well, first off, thanks for the question. The numbers do add up very much. And
I guess that settles it.
Make a couple of distinctions here. What we're doing is we're taking government spending, which has been growing too fast. It's been growing at 9%, the operating spending, and we're focusing in on that, reducing duplication, finding efficiencies on through the delivery of various programs, using technology, capping the federal public service, which has grown by 40% over the last 10 years. So a series of measures that are going to make government more effective, reduce the cost of that spending, reduce the rate of growth of that spending. And then the second thing that we're doing, very importantly, so that's spending less. And the second thing that
we're spending less because it seems like it's actually a lot more. And none of what you just said actually convinced me that we're spending less. But let's continue.
What we're doing is we're not spending that amount of money. We're investing that amount of money.
Oh, so spending and investing are different, right? So we don't have to pay that money, or do we have to pay? And are we going to have to pay interest on that? Or hold on. Okay, continue then.
So we're using very limited government resources to catalyze enormous private sector investment.
Yeah, that's what he told Trudeau to say, and it was false when Trudeau said it. I wonder if it's false while Mark Carney is saying it.
And that's what drives this economy forward. That's what meets this moment.
So you're putting us massively more in debt. So by the way, if you're an idiot, that made perfect sense to you, right? But what's really happening is he's putting us massively more in debt. He keeps pulling out this. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Well, we're splitting it in two. So there's the operational budget, then there's the investment budget, right? And there are stupid people that will hear, well, we balance the budget, the operational budget, which he's not going to do, by the way, anyway, right? He's not getting rid of, he's not going to be getting rid of that 40% increase in public sector jobs that Trudeau did under his direction. But there are people who will just hear, oh, yeah, balance the budget, not knowing that the budget is not balanced. He's only talking about the operational side. He's not talking about all of the money that went off to foreign aid and all of the investments in cricket farms and windmills and solar panels and all the other things that are not going to pan out, just as they didn't pan out under Justin Trudeau. He thinks you're an idiot. And it's not strange that he thinks that Canadians are all idiots, or there's enough idiots to get him elected. I mean, this is a man whose entire life has been sitting in front of a computer, looking at spreadsheets, looking at numbers on spreadsheets. So inevitably, he's just going to see people as numbers on spreadsheets. He's not going to have any respect for them. He's not going to see them as individuals. They're just numbers on spreadsheets. And he doesn't hang out with your friends. He has his own friends, and they're not your friends, and they wouldn't let you in the building. So it's perfectly natural, actually, for an elitist to see people as nothing more than faceless cogs in some machine they're trying to create. But I do still find it just true. It's like alternate universe stuff. Like, we hear that in this it's just obvious bullshit. No, we're going to have to borrow that investment money, and we're going to have to pay it back. We're going to have to pay back interest on it. Well, we're spending more servicing the interest on the national debt right now than the government sends out in transfer payments for healthcare to the provinces. That's not good. But I guess some people will believe anything, right? All right. Am I starting to get tired after an hour and 45 minutes of nonstop ranting? I don't know, maybe. Comrade Carbon, Marks Carney. Net zero for the DEI watch. That's very important. You have to monitor the public to watch for any sign of dissent. Tax evasion for dummies. Very nice. Agenda 2030, WEF. Well, board member of the World Economic Forum. Let's see. Digital ID. That's also very important for oppressing your population. Owned by China. That's a great point there. Official World Economic Forum merchandise. This is what AI is for. All right. What's this? Larry Brock, uncovered. Mark Carney calls violent protests fantastic and some of the best riots he's seen. Carney endorses radical protesters' violence, crime, and chaos. No wonder climate radical Stephen Guilbeault is Carney's right-hand man. So let's see. He wants to print money. He wants to build Soviet-style housing. He wants to give children sex changes. Let's hear this now. I guess maybe he's kind of just like a behind-the-scenes, Antifa fan.
The highlights, I think, of my time in public service was the Hamburg summit. Not because of the riots, which were fantastic, I have to say. They were like some of the best riots I've seen at a G20. The highlights, I think, of my time in public service was the Hamburg summit. Not because of the riots, which were fantastic.
Let's look something up. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Let's see if we can maybe we can find it on X here. Let's take a little look. Let's be spontaneous. Hamburg is on fire. Antifa is mass rioting at G20 and setting fire to vehicles all over the city. Great riots, Mark Carney says. Maybe he's joking. I'm not sure that he is. He says that he's a big fan of Greta Thunberg. He seems to have some fairly adolescent political leanings, Mark Carney. Let's see. Oh, there we go. This is G20 riots in Hamburg. Left over 200 police injured. So interesting. So, this is nice. G20 riots, Hamburg. Let me find one more thing. 1 second. Mark Carney, Greta. Something should come up pretty soon. Here we go. Mark Carney, and this is from Alex Zoltan. Mark Carney speaks of Greta Thunberg as if she's a spiritual advisor. Let's see. Alex here is saying that Mark Carney is creepy, ill-informed, and not fit to lead. Huh. I wonder if I agree with that. Let's take a look.
And I've, absolutely full credit, and I do in the book to Greta Thunberg, who I've had the pleasure of meeting several times, and who absolutely has catalyzed that movement, the youth movement, and also done something incredibly valuable. And this is embarrassing to admit, but I think we should admit it. And this is often true, by the way, in finance. Very obvious truths are not fully understood in the system. So what she hammered home was the carbon budget, how small it was, how rapidly it was being depleted. And we've moved in a few short years, in part because of her.
It's normal for brilliant economists to take their cues from autistic teenage Swedish girls. I wonder if she introduced him to her boyfriend. He's a tree. This doesn't fill me with confidence. This is kind of a very kind of childish attitude, it strikes me as. And it makes me kind of think that, yeah, he's not kidding around talking about how he loved the riots there, that he actually did. I wouldn't find it. In fact, really, it's just expected at this point, right? Just put on the beret and the Che Guevara t-shirt, Mark Carney. By the way, he has nothing bad to say about Marx. He does mention Marx, not a ton in his book Values, but he does mention Marx in there. He's got nothing bad to say about him. Or this, hold on. Let's see. Cat Canada. Mark Carney doesn't like large American online platform because of mean words. Mean words. Well, that's what they keep telling us, Pierre. They say he's mean, right? He probably gets his ideas from mean online platforms like X.
Large American online platforms have become seas of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate in all its forms.
Oh, shut up. You just want to control us. You just want to deny people from speaking their minds, from talking about perfectly rational issues like immigration, right? When he says racism, blah, 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 all of that, what he's talking about, somebody says, hey, I think we let in too many people. Here's an article from the Financial Times that says Canada's in a population trap. What about that? That seems like a real thing. Apparently, actual economists are saying this, and it's a bad thing. That's the racism he's talking about. And every other ism or phobe or whatever is all attached to perfectly reasonable concerns from sane people that are very inconvenient to him, that dissent from his opinions, from his goals. That's all we're talking about here. That's why he wants, of course he's talking about X. He wants to ban X. He can't control it. It's just so grotesque. Everything from these people is in code. It's in globalist code, and you have to understand the code to understand what they're actually saying. When he's talking about making Canadian companies more competitive, a rational person would think that he's saying that, well, he's going to cut taxes for them, and then, we'll get rid of unnecessary regulations, that sort of thing. No, he's not talking about that. He's talking about this fantasy world that he's built up, where by taxing them more, by putting carbon prices on them, by putting regulations on them, by making them, refit, factories, all manufacturing to his eco standards, that's somehow going to make them more competitive because other countries are not going to buy products from countries that don't go by his stringent eco standards. That's ridiculous. It's totally idiotic. EU right now, all right, is buying ever more energy from the United States. No carbon pricing. They have no intention. They have no plans to stop. They want to get more. That kind of proves everything that Mark Carney says about competitiveness of Canadian industry completely wrong and a fantasy world. How does this happen? How does a guy like this, who just walks away from the wreckage that he left the UK in, just parachute his way into the prime ministership of a country, of Canada? Well, I will tell you how. And it's not that, I'll tell you how, because It was a setup. All right. The media desperately wanted the Liberals to stay in power, but they knew it wasn't going to work with Trudeau anymore. So there needed to be a new leader before it was too late. Carney stepped in, and he was just bland enough, and he had the right resume for a certain demographic. And they decided that's the guy. So it was nothing but glowing reviews. Nothing could go wrong. He's so smart. He's so buttoned down and moderate. He's not any of those things. Right? That's what we were told. He went through a Liberal leadership debate that was a joke. It was a farce. Nobody laid a hand on him. In fact, they tried to help him during the debate. Obviously, it had all been decided in some back room before the whole thing even started. Obviously. And then coming to the election itself and the blown lead, that's how it was being portrayed, that somehow Pierre Poilievre blew the lead. No, he didn't. This guy was just parachuted in. He was met with glowing reviews. There was a nonstop propaganda campaign to prop him up, to trick Canadians into thinking this was some kind of responsible, moderate guy who could sort things out. And by the way, also, Pierre Poilievre's mean. Did you know that? He's mean. Conservatives are always mean, but not Uncle Mark. Not Uncle Mark's. Sorry, Uncle Mark. He's buttoned down. He's kind. He's reasonable. He's empathetic, too. I mean, just look at his resume. Don't look too close. But look at his resume. Not too much, though. Don't look too deep. But look at it. It's great, right? Just don't look anymore. No, you've seen enough. Don't look anymore. Don't you think he's great? To me, I just see a globalist gargoyle. I just see this globalist hobgoblin. I see the Canadian Mr. Burns. But anyway, I mean, if we're just going to go, off looks, I guess, and first impressions. But what else do we got? I don't know. I think I've ranted too much on this. Let's move on. Let's just go to some memes. Let's see. From Declaration of Memes, Ocasio. Now, Gad Sad calls her occasional cortex. Ocasio-Cortez severely burned after accidentally touching book on basic economics. I'm telling you, there's that like 15% of the country that would absolutely vote for her in a second. Greta Thunberg, they would vote for a tree with a face painted on it. I think they're going to show up for Jugmeat. I do. I don't think they're going to end up. I don't think the NDP is going to end up with like 6 or 7% of the vote. I'm not buying it. It's a cult. There's no way. Let's see. How to tell if you're in a really bad neighborhood. Yep. Is it the best one ever? No. There you go. Trump could condemn Jeffrey Dahmer, and the Democrats would defend him, saying he was just hungry. He was just trying to feed his family. All right. I think we might, let's go to the chat, and then I think we're just at about 2 hours. We've done 4 nights of streaming in a row, and my brain is getting fried. Don't think we'll go that much longer, but let's do a bit of chat first. Let's see. I think there's a lot of it, actually. We got a lot of people in tonight. Nevada says, ever notice how ugly architecture has become in the last 40 years? Yes, it's totally dehumanizing, actually. It was just again, it almost seems planned, doesn't it? It's part of the whole kind of postmodernist thing, utilitarian. I don't know why we had to, emulate like Soviet architecture. Cathedrals. There are cathedrals in Europe that took like 200 years to build, painstakingly, and they're beautiful. Can we have some of that? It wouldn't take us 100 years or 200 years to build them anymore. You could build them pretty quick, but let's have things that actually look nice. It's a philosophical difference is the problem. Let's see. Bromsley says, multi-level Brookfield fashion trailer homes with mandatory subsidiary trains, heat pumps. Yes, well, Brookfield, which Mark Carney still has millions of dollars of deferred share units, millions of dollars worth. They're invested in heat pumps and also a modular home company. a modular home company. Let's see. Let's see. RO says the thumbnail is the last thing you see before you're priced out of home ownership. I know. It's a different country after 10 years. It's a different country, and it's a crime. Let's see. As he says, finally home to watch my favorite show, got like number 8. Now, everybody watching right now, you may not be aware of this. I should have mentioned this earlier. If you like the stream, that means you get a free dose of good karma from me. One free discrete package of good karma from me. Now, the first like on every stream is double good karma. And in these troubled times, obviously, you're not going to turn your back on that, obviously, right? But liking the stream, you get that. I mean, it's not technically free. You have to like the stream, but you get that good karma. You don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you put on your coat tomorrow, an old coat from the back of the closet, and you put your hand in the pocket. There's $10 in there. You didn't know it was there. That's the kind of good karma that I'm offering you. No promises, no guarantees. In fact, it's all made up. But who knows? It could help. Also, subscribing, extremely important. You will not understand how important it is until you actually do it. So you can just go ahead and subscribe right now. Let's get back to the chat. Let's see. James says, woot woot, Radio B. All right. I think that's positive. Nevada says, less illegals, less crime, lower taxes, and better economy. So, yes, those things all make sense. James says, I feel bad for younger people. I think we all do. I mean, it's awful what's been done. J-Ham, the American Revolution began 250 years ago yesterday. It started when normal people were pushed too far. Canadians need to realize they've already been pushed too far. Well, I think that our democratic processes are robust. I'm not black-pilled. I am white-pilled. We've got the election coming up in just over a week. I am feeling positive. I think things are turning around. I think there's something funny going on. I've been calling Carney Kamala Carney because I'm seeing some parallels with Kamala Harris from the election in the States. I'm not panicking. And our institutions, our democratic institutions have worked. So I'm not going to give up on them. Let's see. Bromsley says the media is a virus. It truly is. It truly is. Marianne Hartigan makes a good point here. Boomers vote liberal. It's not all boomers. It's just that the liberals have an advantage with the boomers. They have the biggest advantage with them out of any other age demographic. Boomers vote liberal because they are rich, so aren't as affected by the economy. Plus, they sit and watch the news as opposed to getting their news from YouTube. Well, they're not interested in getting news from independent media. They don't see the value in it. Their brains are plugged directly into CBC, but not only CBC, also something else really insidious that affects Canadian politics in a very negative way is a lot of Canadians watch CNN and MSNBC as well, which just completely poisons them against anything remotely conservative or that could be called conservative, that you could put the tag conservative on. Even if it's something they like, if it's got that conservative flag on it or a tag on it, they're going to not like it. They'll call it fascist, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't make sense anymore. They're not making sense anymore, and it doesn't matter. They're just going to keep doing it anyway because it's comfortable and all of their friends agree. But yeah, you're right. All right. Nevada makes a great point here. Media, all commies, stinking commies, stinking commies.
And that's nothing but pure and simple old-fashioned communism.
That's right, Jackie Gleason. Jackie Gleason is always right. Let's see. Nevada says, Trump, catalyze, Let's see. Spambot says, I need to stop my drinking game for Carney's ums. If I continue, I'll need new liver. Exactly. Thank God I don't drink anymore. James Metra says, the budget will balance itself. It's not going to do that. We've heard that before, and it didn't happen. Come on. Let's see. All right. Sean Watson says, if boomers are actually going to vote for Carney, hope you enjoy your investments and savings disappear due to inflation created by, you guessed it, borrowing. It's an excellent point. And now the Canada Pension Plan is separate. It's not supposed to, the Prime Minister is not supposed to be able to influence that at all. But Mark Carney has a lot of experience with investing, and obviously Brookfield, right? And ESG funds, pension funds, and with all of the ethics violations that we've seen over the last 10 years, I mean, it was basically a new one every week, sometimes a new one every day of the week. Do I really believe it's going to be independent, or all of a sudden there's going to be a lot of money invested in just essentially junk? JJ says, Greta, how dare you? How dare you? Carney loves Greta. That right there disqualifies him from being qualified to run any country. The second you say anything positive or that you were influenced or inspired by Greta Thunberg in any way, no, sorry, we don't need you. You're just going to fuck everything up because you're an idiot. Let's see. All right, how much? Oh, we got a lot of chat to still get through here. All right, I'm going to try and skip. Oh, great. We're going to skip forward a little bit. Spambot says, I am rather sad that China is first country to start building a molten salt thorium cycle reactor. It's probably just for publicity. I mean, they're building a new, coal plant like every week, but it's something they can hold up, and then Mark Carney can point to them and say, yeah, look, they're leading on green or something. Well, Bromley has a great point here. Every time you hit like, a puppy smiles. You don't like sad puppies, do you? Yeah, you guys don't like sad puppies, do you? That's an excellent point from Bromley. Let's see. Rosie says, nuclear should be on the rise everywhere. I agree. Okay. Applause for good answers in here. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, JDL has a great point here. Says, hit the like button, people. JDL just did, and that's good enough reason. Let's see. Somebody wants an ad. Rosie wants an ad. Should I try and do an ad? Should we do a 1775 coffee ad? What do you guys think? Should we do it? Let's do it. Let's go. Weak coffee is for the weak, and at Rumble, weak has never been part of the mission. No fillers, no fraud, no communism, and no settling for mediocrity, just like 1775 coffee. It's single origin, small farm, hand-picked anti-communist specialty grade coffee that stands for quality, free speech, and calling out commie BS when it matters. Forget stale, mass-produced, Marxist beans roasted just enough to hide the Marxism. Dark roast hits like a Trump tariff. Medium roast keeps it bold without the bitterness, and Vitality Mushroom Blend, well, it's real energy and lasting focus, no synthetic communist garbage. For K-Cup pods, whole bean, or fresh ground coffee, go to 1775coffee.com. That's 1775coffee.com. Use code STUDIO. You're going to need that code STUDIO for your 15% off, and start your morning with coffee that stands for something. Oh, and every dollar spent, and you'll never believe this, enters you to win a Cybertruck and $30,000 cash. That's right, a Cybertruck and $30,000 cash. That's actually real. You know what to do. All right, so that's over on Rumble, everybody. So we're streaming right now on Rumble, on YouTube, on X, and on Locals all at once. Let's see. Bob Stevens says, I'm 72. I do not vote Liberal. I am not rich. Most seniors I know are struggling, so stick that all seniors are rich up your a-hole. Well, I've been saying repeatedly that it's not all seniors, and that the retired people, over 65 people, 70, 80-year-old people in Canada, their generation did absolutely amazing things. Absolutely amazing things. And I'm saying that the Liberals just have, I think it's like about a 5-point advantage. So this is not all boomers. This is not all seniors, and all seniors aren't wealthy, right? And they don't have $2 million in equity in their house. All we're saying is that there's an advantage. It's a larger advantage in that demo than the other demos, right? So nobody here is with that all senior. Nobody here is, condemning all boomers, right? We're just noting that there's a bit of an advantage there for Mark Carney. And there seems to be, like with the what's that with the Brantford, or was it the Brampton boomer, the guy giving the two fingers up? That's all that we're saying, right? There's just a part of that Democratic that we're talking about that doesn't seem to care about the next generation. So you're quite right to say that, right? Let's see. We're talking about nuclear in here. France makes great nuclear power plants. I've never heard of a nuclear disaster in France. Spambot says, excellent anti-commie coffee ad read. Well, thank you so much, Spam. Some applause for that. Spambot says, the local stream ended at the 30-minute mark. I don't know what the hell happened there. Rosie says, excellent ad read. Great growls. Commie hate abounds. 17.75 out of 10. I do believe that's the most out of 10 you can get. JJ Nevada, great ad, 10 out of 10. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, everybody. I have the best chat on the internet, I do believe. They even rate my ad reads for me, which is spectacular. All right. Anyway, I guess we'll go off the Golf Channel now. And what else we got? What do we want to talk about? So here we've got this. Before everybody gets blackpilled on the election, from the Pleb Reporter, Pierre Poilievre surges on Main Street, the Main Street poll. His lead went from 3% lead yesterday to 4% today. This is now a trend. We're so back. Now, this is an outlier. I think there's 2 or 3 polls that are now having the Conservatives either ahead or tied. Still outliers. But I do think there's going to be an enthusiasm gap in this election. I'm just not convinced that, and also the polling also does show this. So if you look a little deeper in the polling, it shows there is an enthusiasm gap. There's not as many liberals that are certain of their vote as there are conservatives. The conservative base is very, very motivated. And it sure looked like it to me when I went out on Friday morning to vote. There was a lot of people there, and all the people I talked to, they were not voting for Carney. I think the conservative base, we know the conservative voters are very motivated. They want to vote. They realize how serious this is. They realize that we're really at threat of losing the kind of quality of life that Canadians have expected. Many Canadians have already lost it, by the way. So there is an enthusiasm gap. I think it's going to matter. We'll find out. We'll find out. Right now, I'm calling it a conservative minority. But we'll see. I could be wrong. All right, let's move on. What else we got here? So we've got 3 more businesses vandalized in Jewish area on Shabbat. Why isn't Mark Carney asked about this? Right? And is this left-wing, far-left extremism, by the way? Right? We only hear the words extremism when they attach it to right, but there's lots of stuff that seems like it's far-left extremism. This can't be far-right extremism, right? They're not into all this stuff, the Palestine stuff. It's got to be far-left extremism. Why don't we ever hear that? Well, I think we know why we don't. Yesterday, Toronto police put out a statement to protect the Muslim community. Have any police services put out statements to protect the Jewish community? Well, Carney's not really talking about it. Seems like kind of an inconvenient thing. We used to not have this happen in Canada. I don't know. It kind of feels like the Middle East used to not be in Canada, and everyone was kind of happy with that. All right, let's get to the last tab. We've got some silly stuff now. I don't think we got too much serious stuff in this one. We've done this one before. I think I showed this to you like 6 months ago, but it will never not be funny. This will never not be funny from non-aesthetic things. It's kind of hard to believe, actually, but it's a classic.
That's amazing. I didn't know that about you.
What do you know?
That you're a musician. But that's why I'm interviewing you today, so I can get to know you.
So I'm a musician.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck that mean? Make magic or something? What is musician?
So I'm a musician. What the fuck does that mean? I make magic or something?
I think you're confusing that.
Yeah, I'm not no musician. I make music. I make music. And that's not all I do. I make music. I act. I'm a TV star too, a young mogul.
Just really quick, I think you're confusing.
I'm not confusing nothing because you don't know. You thought that all I was a magician or whatever the fuck you said.
See, that's what I think you think I said. No, I said musician, not magician.
I don't think, baby. I don't think. What is that? That's ghetto. I don't think. I know.
I don't think. What is that? That's ghetto. I don't think.
No.
So you
think.
I didn't say magician, Suki. I said musician. And I think you are a musician.
No, baby, I do music.
So you just really quick for the record, could you say you don't think you're a musician?
I'm not none of that.
But then after that, you just said I do music.
Yeah, I do music.
So in other words, you're a musician.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Now, I believe that she was actually a reality star. So that shows you how low celebrity has fallen, what a low state celebrity finds itself in. So this person was on a reality show, I guess, to just be that, to be really, really dumb. And somebody picked this person and said, yep, people will look at this. People will watch what she does. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's fine, but I'm not sure it says great things about our culture, though. But then again, without it, we wouldn't have this to laugh at. So I don't know. I guess we just have to live with it. Give me 1 second, you guys. 1 second. I'll be back in like 30 seconds. Hold on. I'll put on the golfing channel. Right back. Absolutely mesmerizing. Calming. What are you guys saying? Let's check out the chat quickly. Rosie says, thinking is ghetto, LOL. It's a classic. Let's see. And now you guys are getting in the weeds with nuclear energy, which I'll just leave you guys to it. Let's see. Check the engineering. I'm not checking the engineering diagrams right now. I know you're not even talking to me. See, with the chat, they often, while I'm ranting like a lunatic, they often just have their own conversations about completely different things. And I become completely unnecessary. Let's see. And that's fine. I'm fine with that. Let's see. Yeah, they're just literally talking about nuclear energy. Okay. That's fine. Keep on. What happened here? So Benny Johnson posted this. I went to a Tesla protest with Florida's next governor, Representative Byron Donalds. So he's calmly asking questions, and then they're freaking out because it is crucial that the dead people stay on the Social Security rolls. The 200-year-olds stay on those rolls. It's crucial for democracy. The government must spend $1 billion on an online survey about national parks where the data doesn't even go anywhere. So it's literally just an entire waste of $1 billion that must happen for democracy. Let's take a look.
Byron, I didn't think to tell me it was your district.
Listen, when you're running for governor, everywhere is your district. I'm trying to figure out what it is you guys are actually doing.
Nazi.
You do realize that Nazis don't like black people, right? What do you want us to agree on?
Congress, because I was just in D.C. on Monday for Transgender Visibility, and I would like you, as a member of Congress, to rise up and support LGBTQ plus youth and stop this insane attack on our children who know who they are.
So the people who don't want to give sex changes to children are the insane people. Got it.
Because you're a fascist. You're a trace.
Because I do not believe in the...
Now, if you asked her, this lunatic, does she value diverse voices? What do you think she's going to say? She's going to say, yes, of course I do. It's very important. Diverse voices are very important. But she doesn't mean diverse voices. She means people who look different than her, but agree with her on literally everything. Total homogeneity of ideology. That's what she believes in, right? She doesn't actually believe in diverse voices because you get your diversity card taken away by her the second that you disagree with her. It's fairly grotesque, is it not? Fairly grotesque. I mean, it was funny when they first started calling black people fascists and like Nazis and stuff, right? Remember the LA Times ran that headline that Larry Elder was the black face of white supremacy when they were having the recall with Gavin Newsom in California. The LA Times ran a story. The headline was, Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. It was insane back then. It was almost kind of funny because it's so absurd. I mean, it's Monty Python. But they just never gave it up. They just keep going with it. They don't see the irony to any of this. This is why I say these people are possessed by a mind virus, the woke mind virus. There's an idea pathogen that has taken over their brains. They no longer have agency. They don't have free will. They just exist to spread and propagate the woke mind virus, to spread it to more vulnerable minds like theirs. Because none of this makes any sense. That's an adult behaving like a very confused 10-year-old. Adults didn't used to act like that. It used to be teenagers, right? Teenagers. But now you've got adults, you've got seniors acting like that in some cases. I mean, it's genuinely weird. It's a frightening thing, actually, because none of this makes any sense. Yet they're totally convinced. What are these people capable of? You really have to wonder. All right. So, oh my God. Ada Luch says, I'm from Spain, so maybe I don't understand this correctly, but is Bernie giving the Nazi salute? Well, we know now, right, after Elon, said, my heart goes out to you, and put his hand on his heart and then raised it up to the crowd. We know now that the only explanation for that, the only explanation is that Elon Musk is a Nazi and is giving a Nazi salute. I mean, nothing else makes sense, right? Nothing else makes sense. So we know now that anytime anybody makes that same gesture with their arm, that means they're automatically a Nazi and they're giving a Nazi salute. Now, with Bernie, I mean, okay, so the Nazi is National Socialist. So there was the glitch. The glitch usually happens in about 2 hours and 21 minutes now, and we've got it down, recovering from it pretty quickly. So, yeah, it's just a thing that happens every single time. But now we can recover really quickly from the glitch. But I don't know how to stop it, and I'm not even trying now. We've just come to accept that there's a glitch. About every 2 hours and 10 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes, there's just a glitch. And we just learn to live with it, Make lemonade or something. Anyway, we now know the only explanation for when somebody like Bernie Sanders here puts his arm up like that is that he's obviously a Nazi giving a Nazi salute. Again, Nazis, National Socialist. Bernie is a socialist. Nazism is a left-wing movement. It's all coming together, right? All coming together. But it still saddens me. I didn't think he was that far gone. Fight oligarchy. I don't know. Is that what he's doing with that Nazi salute? I mean, it's the only explanation. We know that now. The TV told us. Let's see what's going on here. What is this? So Paul A's is Pula. I don't know how you say that. Hey, I said this woman who was speaking in Portland, Maine today was instructing people to interfere with and obstruct ICE. The people then said that they would. And she looks exactly as you would imagine. Now, I think I've got the audio for this. Hold on one second. Yep, that's what I thought. She makes a great case, obviously. Great case. Let's see what's going on here. So this is just all random stuff mixed in here, by the way. All random stuff. So let's take a look. Here's and this is the last bookmark of the evening. I don't think we have a ton of stuff in here, but let's hear from Elon here.
The amount of indoctrination that's happening in schools and universities is, I think, far beyond what parents realize. And I sort of came to realize this somewhat late. The experience that we had in high school and college is not the experience that kids today are having, and hasn't been for, I don't know, 10 years, maybe 20 years. The amount of indoctrination.
So that's a short clip, but it's true. And it's more than 10 years. It's really been going on for decades now. And it's a tragedy of Western civilization that the crimes of the communist regimes of the 20th century have been minimized. So we're talking about, Cambodia. We're talking about the Soviet Union. We're talking about China. We're talking about the Cultural Revolution, Great Leap Forward. We're talking about, over 100 million people dead for no good reason. I mean, right now you've got North Korea. North Korea exists right now, the Hermit Kingdom, right? It's a giant prison camp, North Korea. That exists right now. Right? It's not like you even need to go to the history books. Like right now, right now you can see the effects of socialism, of communism, of totalitarianism. Right now, you don't even need to learn about the 20th century, but it's helpful if you do. And it's the tragedy of Western civilization that the academic institutions have all been long infiltrated by far leftists, by communist apologists who have poisoned the minds of successive generation year after year, to the point now where the people replacing those professors have become, over the decades, have become more and more extreme themselves. I mean, you have departments where, you have disciplines where it's, 500 leftists to one conservative. And it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. It is, it's actually suicidal civilizationally. Let's see. Declaration of memes. What are you throwing him? So Bill Gates is sinking in quicksand. What are you throwing him? Is somebody going to say syringes? I don't know. I'm saying syringes. This is a video by Rosie from Easter. And it's from yesterday. And she was doing Easter eggs. And she made a lovely video about it. I want to show everybody. It's very calming and soothing after all of the horrible news we've seen. This is what you call a palate cleanser. I feel better. That's just wholesome. You need some of that. All right. Well, I guess that's it, everybody. I guess we're done. So that was our fourth night of streaming in a row. We normally don't do that, but we had debates and stuff. We are normally on Friday night, 7:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Eastern time. Sunday, 6 o'clock Pacific time. Tuesdays, 6 o'clock Pacific time. And then I put out clip videos or just ones that I'll make from scratch during the week. Usually put out a total of, mixed between those, about 10 to 13 videos a week. So subscribe to the channel. You'll have access to all of my wonderful videos. And then you know what? The machine's not in control anymore. You can decide. Nobody can take that choice away from you. Nobody can hide my videos from you. You can just go, you're subscribed, you can go onto your account and you can see my videos right there. Then you make the choice. You might watch them, you might not watch them, but you know what? The machine isn't making that choice for you. It's you. It's that important. And I know you're not easily manipulated, so you're going to do it immediately. Immediately. Also, liking the stream. Such a big deal. It's so important. It's so crucially important in this day and age to like the stream. It's the most important thing you can do. And in fact, of course, you're going to get that free good karma when you do. In these troubled times, can you afford not to? All right, let's take a look at the last bit of chat, and we're going to call it a night. And then I'll be back on Tuesday. All right, are you guys still talking? Are the Rumble people still talking about nuclear energy? Let's see. Bob Stevens says, first time listening, you have a great show. Well, thank you very much. And I'm really glad that YouTube actually for once let people know that I have a show and it's live. And we had, let's see, 1,200 people on YouTube tonight. So that's really good. Thank you very much. And welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Let's see. Rosie says, thank you, Richie. Those eggs won't last. We could throw them at Gates. That's what you'd throw at Gates if he was stuck in quicksand. Throw your Easter eggs at him. That's a good plan. Let's see. Bromsley says, thanks all. Have a good night. JDL says, take care, everyone. Rosie says, the eggs were out of refrigeration for about 8 hours after cooking. Yuck. Let's see. All right. Bernadine says, thank you. Great job. Well, thank everybody. Thanks everybody in the chat. If it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't bother doing this. It's basically half the show. It makes it way more fun for me. If you guys weren't there, it'd be like speaking out to some cold and different void. And that would be depressing, and I'd stop doing it. But since you guys are there, I'll keep doing it. Thanks to everybody. You guys are awesome. And we'll see you all on Tuesday. Have a good night, everyone, and great start to your week.